Okay guys, so this video here is Microsoft Excel native app interface. So the interface is going to be, I don't know if it's exactly similar or very similar to the interface for the web application. However, in this video I'm going to be demonstrating the native application interface, and you should probably be able to find your way around the web application once you are familiar with the native application interface. So let's get started. So I'll go down. I already have an Excel file open. Same file name up here. Notice how to access Excel video tutorials. However, this is or .xlsx, which is a file extension. And now I'm inside of Excel. So inside Excel, first thing I want to point out is the ribbon. So if you guys recall, this here is the ribbon. Okay. You can choose to the ribbon display options. So this little button here, you can click on that and it says auto hide ribbon, and it tells you what it does there. You have show tabs and then show tabs and commands. So right now this is the option that is available. You see that I have all the tabs here on top and then the commands. So I can change that by saying show tabs only. So now I don't see the commands, I just see the tabs up here. The other thing I can do is say auto hide ribbon, and then all the ribbon is completely gone. This would be useful if you wanted to maximize your space, you were just entering data, you didn't need the tools at this point because you weren't going to be doing formatting, but you were working on a smaller screen and wanted to be able to maximize your real estate on your screen. But for now, we're going to go ahead and show tabs and command. So we click that one, and now here you can see on our ribbon, this whole thing here is the ribbon here. So just follow my mouse, please. Here inside the ribbon, we have our tabs. So the File tab, Home tab, Insert, Draw, Page Layout. Actually, let me click on them. So Home, Insert, Draw, Page Layout, Formulas, Data, Review, View, Help, and then Search. This is not a tab, but just point it out. So let's go back real quick. I think I showed you guys earlier in a previous video for how to access Excel. You can go to the File tab, and then the File tab has where you can create a new file, you can open an existing file, to info about the file, which this is really good because you can put some metadata in here and put some tags. Here's where you would protect your workbook. I think we talked about that in class as well. Here's save. Whoops, I saved it. But here's save as if you want to change the name of the file. Okay, and then you can just change the name here, change the type here. You'll notice that Excel workbook for the current versions is .xlsx. That's the file extension. If you were working in a file type from Excel 97 to 2003 workbook, it would be a .xls. So just so you understand the difference. There's several other types of file extensions here that you can save it as, like a .csv file, which is a comma delimited. I can explain that to you guys in class. Just so you know, but for now you'll stay with the standard XLSX workbook type. And then from there you can just hit save if you wanted to change the name, etc. But for now we're going to leave it as is. Here's your print option. So if you have a printer, you could select that. And I'll show you guys how to share, export, publish, close. There's a lot of options in here. I won't go over every single one, but let's go back to the interface, and we're on the Home tab. So just again, I want to explain this. So here is your Home tab, and these are your tabs up here on top of the ribbon. And then here inside here, you have what's called groups. So on the Home tab, I have a clipboard group, and they're separated by these lines here. and you'll notice that the font, that the name or the title of the group is in between these lines. They're right centered in between those lines. So here I have a clipboard group, I have a font group, alignment group, number group, styles group, cells group, editing group, ideas group. Okay, and you'll notice each tab has groups, right? So all the tabs have grouping. They've grouped the same type of tools into a group to make it easier for you to find. Themes, page setup, etc. So like here, these are page layout tab, page setup, and these are all things related to the page setup. Margins, orientation. If you recall, we talked about portrait and landscape orientation. Margins, this would be for when you're printing, either the narrow, wide, or normal, wide, or narrow, or you can do custom margins. And then print area. If you recall, we said I was gonna show you guys how to print area. I'll do a separate video for that one. But let's go back to the home tab. And so just to reiterate, these here are tabs that all tabs on the ribbon contain groups of tools, and actually these tools are called command buttons. So all of these are command buttons. Every single one of these are command buttons, and they tell the computer to do a certain task or a certain function within the software. So remember that these are all, so you have the ribbon, you have tabs, and then you have groups of tools or groups of commands and command buttons. And so these are command buttons inside of these groups in the tabs on the ribbon. Okay, now one other thing here on the interface on the ribbon, if you recall, these little markings here on some of the groups, not all of the groups have it, but you'll see most of these do, but like styles doesn't have it, nor cells, nor editing. However, numbers, alignment, and font groups, those groups have what's called a dialog launcher. So what that does is if I click on that, it will open up. If you guys recall, this is a dialog box. So anytime a box opens up inside the software, it's some type of dialog box. Could be an error dialog. However, this is a dialog box saying format cells. So I would say the title of this dialog box is the format cells dialog box. It doesn't say dialog box, but this is what a dialog box is. Here you'll see inside we have different tabs. So we have the number tab, alignment, font, border, fill, protection. But it's default on the font tab because you were choosing a dialog box or a dialog launcher for the font group. So logically, that means that it's going to open up the font tab by default. And in here you have different options for font. You can change the font style, size, color, all these type of things, and you have everything for font. If you change anything, you just say OK. If not, you click cancel. And that pretty much is the explanation or pretty much what's on the ribbon. So make sure you familiarize yourself with the ribbon and understand what tools what tools are in each tab, where the groups are in each tab. It's going to be very helpful if you understand that. So please take time to look for that. Now here, if we go down here, if you recall, this is a table. This is full of cells, and this is a worksheet. The whole file itself is a workbook. And down here on the bottom, we have sheet 1. This is default sheet 1. And I can click this plus sign to say new sheet. And then I have sheet 2 and sheet 3. So the workbook has several worksheets. Here they just call them sheets, but they are actually worksheets inside of a Excel workbook. Okay, so now this Excel worksheet actually is full of cells. And so has this cell, and so on. And I don't remember exactly how many cells, but it's I believe more than 10,000, and I don't know if you can go further than that. I just don't recall. But plenty of cells to do what you need to do. So each cell has an address, and if you'll notice on the top row here, it has the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and if I grab my scrolling bar down here on the bottom, if I keep going, let me see, I have something right there, I can't move it all the way. Let me see if I can, I'll have to go with my arrow, right arrow, and you'll see here's Z. Well, what happens after Z? If I click it, now I start AA, so it starts over again. AA, AB, AC, and let's see what happens if I go all the way to AZ. It's going to be BA, BB, BC, BD, BE, etc., etc., etc. So let's go ahead and go back, and now we're back at A1. So notice I was way over there, all the way to the end at BB or BC. Another way I could do that, well, let me show you something else. So along the top, you have, like I was saying, you have the columns or the columns going up and down. So you have a column A, column B, column C. On the left-hand side of the table, you have numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, and all of these are rows, okay? So you have column A, and then row 1, column A, or I'm sorry, you have row 2, row 3, row 4, etc. And then each one of these cells has an address. So here would be A1, so it's A, so A down, 1 over, so we call it A1. If I go down to the next one, this cell is A2, and then A3, and so on and so on. If I go over here, I'm in cell B1, B2, B3. If you're ever not sure what cell you're in, you can always look up here in the top left-hand corner. It's called the name box, and that is basically the address of that cell. So this address for this cell here is B3. And if I go here, you'll notice that changes to C3. If I click over here, you'll notice automatically it tells me I'm in N18. So just so you know how to navigate around the spreadsheet. So that's pretty much it for that. And then here is your formula bar. And this formula bar, whatever I type here, will appear in the cell that I have selected. And you'll notice the selection is a little green box down here. So whatever I have here, I will go ahead and type something. And I just say test. And whatever I type here, it appears here. Now, on the other hand, let's say I had selected something here on A1. I don't have to put my cursor up here. That cursor is that little blinking line there. I can just be selected here and start typing, and it automatically appears in the formula bar. So, and then notice I clicked cell B2, B1, and well, it's empty. And if I say 2, it starts filling it out. So I can type either here or I can type here, and if I type here, wherever the cell, whichever cell is selected is going to be display the values that I type here in the cell that's selected. And then here is what's called an insert function. This is your insert function tool, and this is where you would do formulas. We talked about that in class. I will do another video specifically for formulas. This is just to cover the interface and to show you how to navigate around. Here is enter, and here is the cancel. So with these, I don't typically use these often, but it's good to know what they are, because you can enter on your keyboard, just press enter, and cancel, you can just either use your delete button on your keyboard or backspace, however you want. But those options are there if you want to use them. Down on the bottom, as you see here, we have several sheets. If you wanted to, sometimes you'll have the bottom here with all the sheets, it'll be really filled up. You might have 10, 20 different worksheet tabs. From there, this thing, oops, oh no, it's not going to let me do it. Okay, well sometimes this will automatically be, let's see if I can, oh there you go, I can do it now. That's because I was selected in the field, sorry about that, or in one of the cells. So sometimes look what happens. I have more sheets, and see this little ellipsis? That's letting me know, hey, there's more sheets there, so be aware. And then I have this vertical ellipsis here, which are the three little dots going vertical. And notice how my mouse changes when I hover over it. My cursor, I'm sorry, my cursor changes from this little white boxy crosshair or cross to a two arrows going right and left with some lines on the center. And then if I hold down my left mouse button, I can drag that over and then I can display the other sheets. And notice the horizontal ellipsis went away. So just notice how it came up there. See how it displays now once I start covering the sheet 3. And then once I take it back, it's no longer horizontal ellipsis. This is a plus symbol to add new sheet. And this is your scrolling bar to scroll left and right. Over here is your scrolling bar to scroll up and down. And over here on the bottom left right hand corner, this is your zoom. So I can zoom in or I can zoom down, see really small, and it shows you the percentage there. So, and that's it. You can click the minus or the plus. Let's see what else. This is the normal view, this little icon here. This is your page layout view, and this one here is your page break view. So we'll cover those later, however, just so you know where they are and what they are. But, well, I'll explain more what they are later. Let's see what else. I don't have any records selected, but let's say I had here 1, and then 2, and then 3. And now if I select these 3 records, it will tell me down here, it says the average is 2, so it's actually doing an average calculation. The count is 3, that means I have 3 records selected, or three cells selected. And the sum is 6, so it's actually doing some math for me. It's telling me 1, 2, 3 adds up to a sum of 6, and if I take 1 plus 2 plus 3, that equals 6, and then I divide it by 3, that gives me 2, which is the average. And then it's telling me the number of selected cells that contain data is 3. The count is 3. So some good information to know. Now notice if I have a cell selected with anything or with nothing in it, it doesn't give me anything down here, any counts or anything. So it's a great little tip to know. So make sure you understand that. And that's pretty much it for the majority of the interface. Well, let me also show you these. These are some basic buttons. If you click here, this is minimize, which it minimizes down to your taskbar. I'll click that to open it again. This here is the, I believe it's called resize or restore down. So if I resize it here, now it becomes a movable window. I can move it around on my desktop, and I can resize it to the size that I want by hovering my mouse over the edge of it. It turns into this double arrow, bi-directional arrows, I should say, and I can move around the shape of it. If I want to restore it up, I just click this again, and it's actually resize or maximize. I'll click maximize. And then when I'm done, I can click this red X. Well, it's a gray box now with a white X, but once I hover over it, it turns into a red box, and that means I can close. If you notice, anytime I use my mouse and I hover over something, I get what's called a tooltip. And this tooltip tells me what the tool is. So hovering over this insert icon, and then it tells me insert cells, and it tells me what I can do. Add new cells, rows or columns to your workbook, It even gives me a little tip here. FYI stands for your information. To insert multiple rows or columns at a time, select multiple rows or columns in the sheet. Whoops. And click insert. So if it goes away, notice it went away. All I have to do is move my mouse away from it and then put it back, hover it back over. Hovering means you're just moving the mouse in place or over the where you want it, but you are not actually clicking or selecting anything. Let's see. So also one other thing, if you select a cell, you can hold things down with the right. If you right click it, it gives you more. If you right click on wherever you're selected, you right click on your mouse and then it gives you options for cut, copy, paste. There's no values in there right now. Oh yeah, there is values. Let's see. Okay, I'm sorry. Cut, copy, and then paste special. And we'll cover some of these things later, but it gives you a menu basically. So right click gives you a menu. Left click is select. Okay, so I'm left clicking here and then right clicking here. Okay, all right, so that's pretty much it for the interface. Hopefully you guys will practice with the interface and be able to familiarize yourself a little bit more, so you'll start preparing for your assignment. Thank you very much.